Vintage Garage, a playlist for the true car aficionado.
A little over 5 years on from the launch of the Crew 2, Ubisoft and Ivory Tower are ready to move on to the third mainline installment of their open-world franchise, and this time, they're taking a different direction than what the series has become known for with its first 2 games. The Crew Motorfest is still, of course, going to be an open-world arcade racer, but from its setting to its tone to even how it's structured, it's going to offer a different sort of experience from its predecessors. As we draw closer to its launch, here we're going to take a look at a few key things that you should know about. Setting. With The Crew and The Crew 2, Ivory Tower took players to a truncated open-world recreation of the United States. But Motorfest is heading to new territories. This time, the series is headed specifically to Hawaii, to be more precise to the island of Oahu. It will obviously still be an open-world map, but where its design is concerned, it's going to be much closer to Forza Horizon than previous The Crew titles. And that won't be the only area where it resembles Playground game series. More on that in a bit. Environments. Ivory Tower has emphasized a few times now that one of the biggest reasons for picking Oahu as the setting for the Crew Motorfest was the natural environment diversity of the island, which means you can expect to see plenty of varied biomes in the game's open world.
Let's not forget, we're in Hawaii. And there's no better place to express yourself.
There will of course be plenty of pristine beaches for you to race through, as you'd expect from a Hawaii setting, while you can also look forward to driving on the slopes of a volcano, through dense rainforests, on the street of towns and cities, and more. The Motorfest. The Crew Motorfest is taking cues from the Forza Horizon games in several key ways, with this being chief among them. The entire game will, as its name suggests, now revolve around a festival that's all about cars and car culture. Driving through Oahu is of course going to be a pretty pleasant experience in and of itself, but on top of that, the Crew Motorfest is also going to add a festival theme throughout the entire island.
A playlist is available, driver. We put this playlist together to give you a taste of Japanese racing culture.
Playlists. Playlists will form the backbone of the Crew Motorfest, especially where its core content is concerned, and will serve as your main missions, so to speak. Each playlist will be a mini-campaign in and of itself, and each will hone in on specific themes that will celebrate different facets of car culture, from the cars you're driving to the challenges that you're asked to tackle to even what the environments look like. Playlists will change things up in a number of ways. More playlist details. Ubisoft has confirmed that the Crew Motorfest will feature a total of 15 playlists at launch. Presumably, the number will go up over time in the months and years after the game's release, but even at launch, it seems like there's going to be an interesting amount of variety on offer. For instance, there's the Made in Japan playlist, which will focus on Japanese sports cars and have you driving through neon-lit streets at night. Another playlist will focus entirely on the Porsche 911, which will take you through the history of the car and some of its most iconic models and offshoots. Hawaii Scenic Tour, meanwhile, will serve as a bit of a prologue and take you through the many beautiful locales of Oahu. Main stage. Progression through playlists will be how players will get to the main stage, which, as its name suggests, is where you want to get to. The Crew Motorfest will feature a rotating roster of main stage events that will change on a regular basis, with each offering a new and entirely different group of events with specific themes. From racing in specific vehicles to completing a certain type of an open-world activity to chaining together feats and more, main stage events will task players with a variety of different things. Progressing far enough in a main stage event will also allow you to enter legend events, which will be ultimate, more elaborate driving and racing challenges. Vehicles roster. The Crew, as a series, has always boasted a sizable and varied roster of vehicles that only tend to get bigger following the next release. But what should we expect from the Crew Motorfest on this front? Well, more of the same. Much more, in fact. At launch, the game will have a whopping 600 plus vehicles available, spanning multiple manufacturers and, of course, vehicle types. Speaking of which, boats and planes. Cars are obviously going to be the heart and soul of the Crew Motorfest, but as those who have played the Crew 2 will know, that's not necessarily the full story. Ivory Tower has confirmed that, like the 2018 title, Motorfest will allow players to pilot planes and drive boats. Will that function the same way it did in the Crew 2, where you would switch seamlessly with the press of a button? Presumably, though details are currently sparse. We don't know how much of the roster will be reserved for planes and boats. We don't know if flying in particular will be affected by that much smaller size of the map as compared to the Crew 2, and we don't know if planes and boats will be as heavily emphasized as they were before. Motorfest seems to be putting the bulk of its emphasis on car culture, so it does seem like planes and boats are going to be sidelined a little bit, at least compared to the Crew 2. New vehicles. As has been previously confirmed, the Crew Motorfest's massive roster of vehicles is going to encompass almost the entirety of the Crew 2's roster as well, with players also having the option to import their collection of vehicles from the 2018 game, but there will of course be plenty of new vehicles to drive as well. Out of the 600 plus vehicles in the game, over 80 will be entirely new introductions, including electric cars by Porsche and Nissan, the GMC Hummer EV, the Toyota Supra, and the Lotus Evija. Meanwhile, new vehicle types are also being added in the form of quad bikes and SSVs. Car meets. In the spirit of its festival theme and its emphasis on celebrating car culture, the Crew Motorfest will also feature car meets, where the primary drive will, of course, be to show off your vehicle in all of its glory and with all of its customizations to other players. The game will now also allow players to take a deeper and more detailed look at the exteriors and interiors of the car, which means you get to expect a much greater level of authenticity and attention to detail. Or that's the hope, at least. Customization. Another area where the Crew Motorfest is looking to take a significant leap over its predecessors is its customization mechanics, and the level of options and flexibility it will prove to players and how they want to tweak and tune their vehicles. In total, there will be over 800 customization parts on offer, which is over 20% more than what was featured in the Crew 2. Ivory Tower says there will be millions of possible combinations for players to play around with, even spanning details like what sound your vehicle's engine makes. Grand Race and Demolition Royale. Multiplayer experiences have obviously always been at the heart of the Crew games, and that's what's going to be the case in the Crew Motorfest as well. Specifically, where dedicated multiplayer modes are concerned, the game will have a few on offer. For instance, there's Grand Race, which will be a 28-player free-for-all race. Meanwhile, the Demolition Royale will be a battle royale experience with 8 crews of 4 players, each going up against each other in demolition derbies just to be the last crew standing. Summit Contest. Another mode on offer in the Crew Motorfest will be Summit Contest, which, of course, is going to be built on a similar framework to the Crew 2's live Summit events. Each week will bring new Summit contests, bringing different themes and challenges. Completing Summit contests will reward you with points, allowing you to climb up the leaderboards over the course of the week. At the end of the week, depending on if you fall in the bronze, silver, gold, or platinum tier, you'll get access to different rewards. Accessibility features. Ubisoft Ivory Tower has also confirmed that it's looking to include a vast range of accessibility options in the Crew Motorfest right off the bat. On top of a toggle for a driving line and being able to tweak the AI's difficulty, there will also be a greater amount of options for controller mapping and remapping. Additional options will include a color blindness mode, and options to tweak and change things like motion blur, camera shake, the size and color of text in the UI, and more. Photo ops. You'll be seeing plenty of gorgeous sights as you're driving through the island of Oahu in the Crew Motorfest, while you are going to be admiring your cars every chance you get as well. If you are so inclined, photo ops will appeal to you. This activity will task players with using the photo mode function to take photos meeting specific criteria, including locations, vehicles, time of day, and more. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.